Right, hello, good morning, and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Tuesday, the 4th day of June, 2024. By His grace, we're live and we're here. We're at another edition of the show. Our gratitude will go to Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly. Let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers, Daily Graphic. Empower Ghanaians to own economy. Ochini. One Student, One Tree initiative kickstarts Green Ghana Day. NPP and DC disagree on EC directive. Graphic editor, 23 others on it. Fidelity Bank posts 1.17 billion cedis profit for 2023. The Ghanaian Times. Transfer of votes for election 2024. EC political parties lock horns as emergency IPAC meeting ends in deadlock. Green Ghana 2024, Chinyene Lands Ministry launched fourth One Student, One Tree initiative. Leo Wayne granted 50,000 cedis bail over accident that killed 3-year-old boy. Dialysis treatment, government to subsidize treatment for 18 to 59-year-olds. VAPE announces. Daily Guide, NDC, PC arrested over Kaswa stabbing. I'll train 1 million youth for digital jobs. Baumia Ochinene launches One Student, One Tree project. Lewin in court over dangerous driving. Anti-LGBTQ case. Lawyers file addresses in 4 weeks. The New Crusading Guide. Attorney General has not overstepped his boundaries. Professor Kwame Jan. Family rejects Afoti Agbo as Katamanso chief. NHIS commences free dialysis support program. Ochinene launches One Student, One Tree project. ECG petition to relocate deadly transformer at Ashonman. Education is key to effective operation of non-profits. Listo or Yesu Bukasin. The Insight. Minority rejects Infraco 5G deal to 1-week-old company, says is illegal and of no legal effect. Koforidia goes gaga for Alan as the Alliance Coup movement for change hits ground running in Eastern region. Genocide and Rafah invasion by Israel. Tens of thousands to surround White House on June 8th in protest of U.S. support. Family Health University College parts up a girl in commemoration of World Menstrual Hygiene Day. Let's guard our environment. Ochinene charges youth. Nobody above prosecution. AG tells Atu Forcing. NPA. Our officials cannot be held responsible for decisions of tanker drivers. PIAC calls for increase in Ghana's oil production. The New Finder. Time to counter unfair reports about performance of African economies. Dr. Adam. Fourth edition of One Student, One Tree initiative launched. Fidelity Bank records 1.17 billion profit in 2023. NDC minority kicks against next-gen Infraco 5G deal. Daily Post. Mahama warns EC against rigging plans with NPP. EC should maintain party agents in ongoing voter transfer exercise, Professor Jampo advises. You will be very foolish to trust EC to transfer votes in your absence, Franklin Kujo to political parties. Minority rejects government's 5G deal with next-gen Infraco, says it's illegal, null and void. And that's about it for the front pages. We'll be back shortly. Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning, the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Anya Soutum constituency, the Honourable Dr. Dixon Adumaku Kisi. Doc, good morning.
Morning.
Long time no see. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yes. Forgive me. I've been incognito for a little bit. Yes.
I see. Yeah. I've seen you in some pictures around the Odogono school.
Yes. Very, very fortunate. Last year, around March, I pleaded with some institutions to help us with either a classroom, dormitory, or science laboratory. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints picked up the 6 classroom block and 10 toilet seater. So within the space of 8 months, they got it done. And I'm happy we handed it over to the school this Friday.
Okay. Okay. So I saw the pictures yesterday.
Yeah. Very, very happy. Very happy. And in fact, I mean, you know, what it means is that at least some of the parents who worry us with getting admission into Odogono, the pressure on me would also go down because we now have this opportunity. You know, those are the chiefs that came by. Very fantastic program. So, yeah.
All right. So well done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Also with me on the show this morning is the Member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency, the Honorable Alhaji Alhassan Suhini. And having been informed that the last batch of pilgrims have left for the Hajj, I can imagine his bank balances. Good morning, Alhaji.
Good morning, boss. Yeah. I mean, it's really left to your imagination. The details cannot be shared. And that was the last batch that are leaving for Hajj from Tamale.
Yes.
But I think those leaving from Accra,
there are still some.
There are still some, you know, people who will come from Tamale to fly from Accra. So it's not over until it's over.
Even as non-Muslims are under pressure, so I can imagine.
Eid al-Adha is just around the corner too.
Sort some people out.
Is it going to be the 17th, 16th or 17th?
Yeah, thereabout. Yeah, it's going to be in about 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So not this weekend, but the next weekend, the Monday of the next weekend.
Okay. Thereabout. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was told, but I needed a confirmation.
So I can imagine the impact on your bank balances too.
Yeah.
But I think
your Rasta man is smiling. That
he doesn't have a problem. He has
I think both
an
religions,
allocation at a big house.
both
he has an
religions
allocation.
to some extent.
So you go and take his thing.
And take his share. He's lucky.
Adelai.
He's lucky.
Adelai.
Religion is becoming expensive.
Is it what?
Religion is becoming expensive for both. I mean, all religions are becoming expensive. Forgive me, even the traditionalists are struggling now. Snap bottle is expensive, even to do, you know.
No, I don't think religion is expensive. It's the social part of religion that is.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
But for example, you will not
The social and political
you will not take Hajj, for example, as a social part of religion. It's a cardinal pillar as far as Islam is concerned.
So you see, some of the add-ons that have made it expensive.
Add-ons.
Yes. For example, where to sleep, how close you want to be to Kaaba.
Okay.
You know, what to eat.
Okay.
You know, the comfort you want as you embark on the journey. That's what will make it more expensive.
And you have to come back with
even with
fresh
those
clothing.
add-ons, I still think that the fare, as people are made to pay this time around, is just prohibitive. It's just
is it not because of the exchange rate?
Not really. Under the NDC, for 4 years, the fare was $3,240. I think $3,240.
But inflation is worldwide, though. You see.
Now it is over $6,000.
Inflation is worldwide.
So, and that is,
you can't justify,
and that is at a time that your exchange rate is that bad. So it is not just an issue of exchange rate.
Double hitting.
It's exactly, they call double whammy. Like you have the exchange rate
Increase
so
in
bad,
fares,
and then the
increase in
fare has
everything.
been doubled.
Oh my!
You know, so it's sometimes I have been on this crusade that if for nothing at all, I've been on the crusade that if for nothing at all, His Excellency the Vice President should explain this. Because I was on the Hajj board and I know what it took the former President John Mahama to maintain, you know, the Hajj fares at the price that people were made to pay between 2013 and 2016. I was on the Hajj board. I know what it took. And so I can't understand.
Well, the Hajj board
so does it then mean that for those who are going to the Hajj, if you were even using an exchange rate of, let's say,
14,
even 13,
yes,
at the time they paid, then you're probably will be needing about 90,000.
Yes.
90,000.
Yes. In fact, so what they have done is that I think they announced a fare of 75,000 Ghana
at the
cedis
time.
At the time.
Okay.
But if you are paying in dollars, you pay the 6,200 or something, and it's 75.
So it means that they used an exchange rate which was under 12 cedis.
Under 12 cedis
at the time the fare was announced. Okay.
And trust me, they are still making profit. The Hajj board is still making profit.
But the Hajj board is not a profit maker.
But they are posting profit. They claim they are posting profit.
How?
Yeah. So those are some of the things that we need to find answers to, and I've been raising that concern.
So this can buy
if for nothing at all. You see, you are saying that why am I bringing the vice president in? You see, I am not. He mounted platforms, and he's still doing that, even in this campaign, and told Muslims that he was going to represent their interests.
But he
did, and he's still doing that. So if for nothing at all, he needs to just explain to us why it is so. He hasn't said anything.
Of the opinion that
it says it's the board. It says a global issue.
It's the board that should explain.
You are saying that he hasn't said that.
I've just seen a news item.
Why must he?
Current economic difficulties are global, not peculiar to Ghana
alone.
It says the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has stated that Ghana cannot be excluded from the global economic hardship. In Dr. Bawumia's view, the current economic challenges are a global phenomenon, and Ghana is no exception. During a meeting with the clergy in the Central Region as part of his campaign tour, Dr. Bawumia assured that the government is making every effort to alleviate the difficulties faced by Ghanaians. Quote, "It is very clear that the cost of living has gone up across the world. Even when I was in Canada just a few weeks ago, there were similar complaints. There has been a major increase in the cost of living, and global inflation has increased fivefold. So there's a problem."
Do you remember what he said about global impact?
Yes. How it skipped Cote d'Ivoire
how
and
it skipped Cote d'Ivoire, and how it
this one says
and hit Ghana.
This one says he has not skipped anybody.
With the Hajj fare, Ghana's fare is the highest in the sub-region.
No, but
even in dollar,
it's the highest.
Let me come in here. Forgive me.
How did that global impact
there's an issue
skip all these countries around us?
There's an issue
and
though
hit us
with regards to Ghanaian tickets. That one, I think, since we are going there, in with all due respect, all Ghanaian tickets sometimes are too expensive. I mean, a flight from New York to UK is even less than UK to Accra. I think Ghana's airport taxes, honestly speaking, I mean, at some point in time, we may have to revisit it, because you buy a ticket, the airline is getting like maybe 600, and the taxes alone is 400.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So this might be our local problem with, which extends to this Hajj transfer, where a chunk of the money is actually aviation-related taxes. And
I agree with you.
I
agree with you when it comes to the charges that people in the aviation sector have to deal with in this country.
And some of the airlines have complained.
But in the case of Hajj,
some of the airlines have complained.
Yes, trust me. The aviation part of the cost is not that significant. If you look at how much they charge, because you see, it is done on contractual basis.
Okay.
So you contract an airline to make available, say, 9 aircrafts to pick a certain number of people over a period of time. And you go into the contract sometimes a year ahead of the deal. And so it is predictable, and the charges are not that much. What they use to hike these fares usually are the accommodation or the rent that they secure for pilgrims in Mecca.
When they get there.
Yeah, and then in Medina and in Mina. Those are the little things, and then the feeding. Yet, I mean, if you look at the food that they are sometimes fed with, trust me, people sometimes just have to depend on the magnanimity of other
people who have come,
or even the indigenous themselves, who around that time believe that it is holy to give to survive. They will have to depend on that to survive, and so it is untenable, it's unreasonable, it's insensitive that they will use those things to prize Hajj at the price that they are making people pay, especially when it is a critical pillar, in Islam, and Muslims are required, when they can, and that's the excuse that they make. When you say, oh, it is too high, they say, oh, but they say it is for those who can afford. But the fact that it is for those who can afford does not mean that you should price it out of the reach of people blessed by God to do it if you are charged it fairly. So I think that it is unreasonable. But if for nothing at all, I have said that let us get some consolation from the man who has told us, I'm not the one saying
the Hajj
that
board,
he represents
the
our
Hajj
interest.
board will come and talk.
Let's hear from
all right. Well, despite all our difficulties, we'll still have to brush our teeth, right? Okay. So if you're looking for a toothpaste that can take care of all the family and save you some money, especially in these difficult times, the recommended family toothpaste is KEL 360 toothpaste. It's approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. KEL 360 toothpaste provides you and your family with all-round dental protection throughout the day with freshness. KEL 360 toothpaste is good for kids, children, and adults. Let your family be a proud family when they step out by constantly using KEL 360 toothpaste. KEL 360 toothpaste brightens your teeth, prevents cavity, and with its cool mint gives you fresh breath throughout the day and protects the gum from decaying. For consistency and quality, use KEL 360 toothpaste. It is another product from Samara Company Limited, producers of Sasso. It's available in all supermarkets, malls, and provision shops. Call Samara Company on 0246 864798. KEL 360 toothpaste. Happy smile. And enjoying the fruits of your labor is as important as enjoying the mansions of your labor. The pains of climbing the stairs when not exercising could be challenging, irrespective of your age. But worry no more. Lifts and elevators have got you covered with the best portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators on the market today. It's a simple self-supported elevator for both homes and offices, and guess what? It can lift your goods too. Wheelchairs can fit in, and they come in 3 custom-made models. It's affordable and can be installed within 3 days. Visit Lift and Elevators at Sakuman or just call them on 0200535415 or send a mail to elevatorsgh@gmail.com for consultations and the best solutions in easy vertical movement. All right. Okay. So, gentlemen, an exercise which should be kind of routine and administrative and, seamless has turned into something else. And I'm talking about the transfer of votes. And so, according to the political parties, they had a meeting with IPAC. It was agreed at IPAC that representatives of political parties will be there to monitor this transfer of votes. And then, I think on Friday or Saturday, I think I saw it over the weekend, then we saw a directive from the Electoral Commission to all its regional and district officers, asking them to not allow agents of political parties to come to the centers for the transfer of these votes. Now, the NDC kicked against it and in fact issued a statement asking its agents to go, defy the Electoral Commission and then go there. Page 8 of the Ghanaian Times has a story by Julius Yapetechi, which reads that an emergency inter-party advisory committee, IPAC meeting between the Electoral Commission and the political parties over the ongoing transfer of votes yesterday has ended inconclusively. The meeting was called by the EC after agents of the governing New Patriotic Party and opposition NDC, National Democratic Congress, reportedly clashed at some centers. The exercise, which started on Thursday, May 30, 2024 and scheduled to end Friday, June 14, has been characterized with violence and comes on the heels of the just ended limited registration exercise, which recorded clashes too. In the face of the reported violence, the election management body is shutting the door on political parties observing the exercise to tone down the tension which is building up ahead of the 2024 polls. The memo Part of the memo reads, the Commission's attention has been drawn to the violent clashes occurring at some of the district offices. As a result of the transfer of votes exercise, regional directors are to inform district officers not to allow agents of political parties to observe the transfer of votes exercise with effect from Monday, June 3, 2024. The memo signed by Samuel Tete, Deputy Commissioner of Operations, said. And speaking with the media after the meeting across the NDC and MPP confirmed that the EC opened the door to political party observation, but were at variance on the decision of the Commission to make a U-turn in that regard. That U-turn, the NDC said, shrouds the entire exercise in secrecy and could be the breeding ground for political gerrymandering, insisting the agents would observe the exercise. It's a no-no for us. We are opposed to the EC's unilateral decision to ask political parties to withdraw the agents in the name of transparency, a key ingredient in the work of the EC. Why would anyone want to ask political party agents to withdraw? The NDC, as our General Secretary has stated, will not withdraw our agents from the transfer centers. The NDC's Director of IT and Election, Dr. Edward Omwani Buama, stated, according to him, the U-turn by the EC is intended to advance the electoral fortunes of the MPP because, quote, we have on authority specific constituencies and specific number of votes that the MPP wants to transfer to those constituencies. We got that document, and in less than 15 minutes, the EC statement barring political parties was made public. These and other actions of the EC in the past, Dr. Buama said, points a grand scheme by the EC to give the governing party electoral advantage, but the NDC will leave no stone unturned to ensure a free, fair, and credible election in the lead up to and on election day on December 7, 2024. But the former chairman of the NPP, Peter McMahon, said the NDC would be perpetuating lawlessness if it kept its agents at the centers for the purpose of transfer of votes. Quote, under the law, there's no room for party agents to observe the process. Unlike the registration, it was IPAC itself that decided that in the interest of transparency, we should allow party agents to observe the process. So if the EC, having taken note of the violence that has characterized the exercise, decides to make a U-turn, stakeholders must abide and allow the process to flow seamlessly. For us as a party, we think that coming events cast their shadows, and if the EC in their wisdom, with authority vested in them under the Constitution, decides that we should withdraw the agents, we will abide by it in the interest of peace and tranquility in the electoral process. And because of that, we have withdrawn our agents. That's the NPP. And I find this extremely interesting. And note that Mr. McMahon makes the point that the EC agreed for the party agents to be there because of transparency. Just underline that. Transparency. Underline that. Okay. Now, the flag bearer of the NDC, who's also the former president of this republic, has issued a statement on this particular matter. And I'm just trying to get that statement now. Okay. So now I have also seen a document put out by Dr. Omwani Buama with respect to those constituencies and all that. But this is the statement. Says for immediate release, Mahama wants EC against rigging plan with NPP. The flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has cautioned the Electoral Commission's leadership to live up to its expected mandate and stop working in the interest of a ruling party in a Facebook post on Monday, June 3, 2024. And this is the post. It says the Electoral Commission's decision not to allow agents of political parties to observe the ongoing voter transfer exercise points to only one reason: the EC's avowed determination to aid the ruling NPP in stealing the outcome of the 2024 elections. But as I have continued to repeat, and did the past weekend in Tongo, this collusion between the EC and the NPP will not work. They will fail. I'm not surprised that the NPP and the EC quickly reversed a collective decision taken at an IPAC meeting last week to have political party agents present at the district offices for the transfer exercise. The NPP knows and internally admits that it will lose the 2024 presidential elections. We also know that as a last resort, it seeks to deploy gerrymandering during the voter transfer period to improve the chances in the parliamentary elections in the erroneous belief that it may rely on that to affect its presidential votes. Again, they will fail because that strategy will not work. We have in our possession a long list of constituencies in Ashanti and Eastern regions and selected places in Greater Accra and other regions where the MPP is seeking to transfer thousands of voters from their strongholds to offset the NDC's gains in constituencies we control. Ghanaians have already decided to vote Akufo-Addo and Bawumia out because of the unprecedented hardships they are faced with due to the economic mismanagement and deep-seated corruption. I am certain that no amount of collusion between the Electoral Commission and the MPP can rescue the MPP on December 7, 2024. We have instructed our party at all levels to continue to be present and observe the transfer process. I challenge the EC leadership to live up to its expected mandate and stop working in the interest of the ruling party. Now, I contrast this exercise with a limited registration exercise. Okay. Now, we also saw pockets of violence in the limited registration exercise, just as we have seen in this transfer of votes. However, in the issue of the limited registration exercise, because the law is clear on the issue of party agents being present, despite the fact that there were pockets of violence, we still maintain them there, and we have to rely on the law enforcement agencies to try and deal with the issue. On the issue of the transfer of votes, at IPAC, they agree that let the party agents be there because of transparency, which is one of the three pillars that the Electoral Commission says that its work is pivoted on, you know. And then we have these pockets of violence, and the next thing is that don't allow them. And the explanation we get is that, oh yes, they are violence, and it is not supported in law. It is like, oh, it was an administrative decision. Do you get the point? The point I'm trying to establish here is that there is a reason why we say party agents must be there. And they have alluded to the fact that it's about transparency. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if during the limited registration exercise there were pockets of violence, but we did not remove the political party agents from being at the place because they're supposed to monitor the process and attest to the fairness and transparency in the process, why would we do that in the transfer of votes when, even without the law, all parties agree that for transparency they must be there to see what is going on? If there are pockets of violence, why do you resort to removing what you believe will ensure transparency on the basis that there are pockets of violence, when you had another way of dealing with this during the limited voter registration exercise? Doctor, maybe you have a surgical explanation to this.
Well, first of all, let me say that registering to vote is very important. It helps us with the democratic process. An electoral commission with integrity, an electoral commission that is transparent, an electoral commission that makes sure that every vote counts and that your vote on December 7th will be counted as cast is very important. And let me be very emphatic here that no serious-minded party will rely or depend on the referee. No serious-minded. And I say that also to even the MPP. We have worked consistently independent of the Electoral Commission. In 2016, we were able to ascertain our results before it was declared by the EC. 2020, the same thing. So the MPP party has shown that we are not a party that necessarily depends on the referee, which is the Electoral Commission, to make a determination. We believe that the people will make a choice, and the EC's work is only to count and to, as it is, certify that the people made a choice for X, Y, or Z. So whether in opposition or in government, because in 2016 we were in opposition, we did not depend on the EC. in 2020, we were in government. We still did not depend on the EC, and I'm thinking that maybe in a decade we'll eventually know what the NDC numbers were from 2020, because that still is in a limbo, due to not Komike Kena, but this one was biscuits and tea issues. But however, my biggest recommendation, one, to my own party, is that we need to be very firm and clear in how we will execute, one, our campaign message, two, we have a fantastic candidate, and beyond that, the people working on the field, on the grounds, to push and market what we've done as a party is very important and crucial to our success come December 7th. And I believe that the two key parties in this country, which is the NDC and the MPP, also need to come to terms with the fact that elections are not guaranteed, and past performance are no guarantee as well. There are two things that can happen in December. We may either gain more votes than we did in 2020, or have a dip, or the NDC may reduce appreciably in the numbers that they got in the last election, or gain. I mean, anything can happen on December 7th. Barring unforeseen circumstances, I believe that, for instance, in my own constituency, this voter registration exercise, with all the many nuances and noise, we're looking at about 5,000 people that were registered. Now, the key question is we're in another zone, transfers. What are our fears when it comes to transfers? Gerrymandering is part of politics. I mean, I'll be very surprised if the NDC will be worried about, anybody moving votes to Ho at this point in time, because it's a drop in the ocean. If you try doing that in Ho, the same way with Bantama, NDC cannot come and do FOCO in terms of loading. How many people can they bus to do that? Nothing. But there are some places where it was 2,000 votes, it was 1,000 votes. I understand, and we all understand the game of politics. I can cite the unfortunate bit when COVID hit, and University of Ghana students were not there. It was heavy. It affected the NDC fraternity. It affected the MPP fraternity. This time round, who knows? The students will be there, hopefully, December 7th, and it might work in the NDC favor or in the MPP favor. We don't know, because 2020 was a different animal. Now, transparency is crucial. It allays all of us our fears. So I'm always for it. I don't lose anything being transparent. The NDC also doesn't lose anything being transparent. But the truth is that both parties are animals, and in terms of machinations, Oya through Oya in local balance. So that is why all of this, in spite of the advent of technology, is becoming an issue. I think that our conduct at the polling, at the EC center, is very important. If the parties wish to be there, how we conduct ourselves, can make us welcoming or unwelcoming. And unfortunately, there's been tensions in places that we didn't even have tension. Unfortunately, I mean, for instance, I can admit that even within my own constituency, Anyansotum, where we've consistently, shown the NDC the door, we even have tensions because the NDC is hopeful that they can make some appreciation in their numbers. No problem. But I think that in principle, I'm of the opinion that if the game was started, we don't make changes midstream. I mean, and what I mean by that is that during the IPAC meetings, what was concluded on I think, must hold to the end, period. So that we don't, it doesn't, I don't, from a soccer standpoint, you don't get to semifinals and then come and introduce a new thing that your linesmen and referees should sit on the fence or should manage the game from a drone. I mean, that's my only point. And I think to make peace, it might be appropriate from a contractual standpoint that if we started from IPAC agreeing to that, and we feel that there's a need to change, then we ought to go back and have another meeting together at the table and then make a determination. But you don't spring on us because, listen, if I was in opposition or even as I'm in government, I would worry that, why the change? We are willing to be there. But the thing is, we have to conduct ourselves well and so that we don't interfere with the Electoral Commission's process. And when you even carry your own wife to the center to do the transfer, I remember looking at Buhari, trying to check on who his wife voted for. So even the president wasn't too sure if his wife was voting for him or not. So politics is such a very unpredictable thing. In my own elections, people you may have driven to the center may vote against you. So there are no guarantees. Imagine providing a vehicle in the morning to pick an elderly man to the center, only for him to vote for the opposing party. My goodness, this is politics. So when you are here, even making all these fights and arguments or people you are transferring, you don't have control on their thumb, and there's no guarantee that if I bring Ninoy to Anyaso, to Ninoy be my friend, my confidant, and everything. I mean, Tema Central's MP, Ninoy will vote for me. I mean, there's no guarantee. I mean, that is a fact. Please.
That's what that one. There's a guarantee.
Well, but I'm just
that's
saying.
That's a bad example.
No, I'm
yes.
But that is it. So I think the political parties might be doing, too much disservice. One, in terms of the fighting at the polling centers. I'm just making a case that the people you are transferring, you don't have a guarantee. You don't. Trust me. On the D-Day, anything can happen. They might get a pokey or matchbox from somebody, and then that changes everything.
But
so
why are we not interested?
No,
in going to
the table again.
No, the root cause of these violent acts, and rather try and find solutions to that. It looks like we're dealing with symptoms. Okay, so there have been pockets of violence. And because of that, we think that is the agents who are being disruptive. Instead of looking at it that I say they've been maybe vigilant, we say they are being disruptive, so let's take them off.
Yeah.
But what is it? What is it that is causing it?
Well, the mistrust. The mistrust.
So how do you? So you see.
So what if the EC
do you understand? You understand why I asked the question
will
again?
print how many people have come? I mean,
this is the reason.
Going to help
so
us?
This is the reason why I asked the question again.
Yeah.
That although it wasn't in the LI,
Correct.
The EC itself, appreciating the fact that there is this level of mistrust and there are issues that have been raised, believe together with the parties that if we were to allow this, and their people are there, and they see the process, and they see through the process, it will deal with that issue of mistrust. However, in the course of doing that, there's been pockets of violence. And I'm saying that we just finished the limited registration exercise.
No, but I can sue the EC for breach of the law. I mean, literally. I'm just being the devil's advocate here. In the future, the EC is indemnifying themselves at this point in adhering to
the EC.
What is
the EC has not done anything. The EC will not be held
legally
for doing anything unlawful by allowing political party agents to witness what is happening.
No. What I'm saying is that
they will not have breached the law.
I mean, what we are saying is that for the voter transfer,
yes,
in the LI, there's nothing that agrees to people being there.
Yes.
So any citizen can raise a key.
No, if you were to raise the issue,
you understand? Yes.
No. What I'm saying is that
so the AC is trying to be, in a way.
The AC is not saying that. The AC is not saying that.
I'm just,
we
working
realize
for them,
that there.
You understand?
My point really is that you then see that with this position taken by the EC.
This is now
just
better.
With this position taken by the EC, and then the position taken by the MPP. So initially, when the agreement was reached, all the parties agreed with the EC. Yes, it should be done. They all knew that it wasn't in any CI or whatever.
No, but they didn't have very good legal.
Now this has nothing to do with law.
No, what I'm saying is that after further review,
the arguments you have raised have nothing to do with law.
After further review,
there's nothing. This is an EC. I hope
advice from maybe
the
Attorney
chairperson
General
is not watching me. This is an EC that can use an administrative fiat to stop people from voting in the parliamentary election. So please.
Oh yeah.
Sal, I hope Mrs. Mensah is not watching.
But that has been corrected.
And attempt to blame on Parliament.
So my point is that.
But now they'll vote.
So you see, if you check out the statement from the former president, and you see the position of the NDC.
Yes.
Now, to the extent that the MPP quickly agrees and says that they've withdrawn their whatever, it rather
promotes mistrust.
Yes, it rather deepens.
We can't always fight
the mistrust, and then the allegations of collusion and all those things are then heightened. They might be far-fetched.
No,
but I'm just saying.
I think the MPP just felt right about what the EC has done, and agreed in principle. But if the NEC doesn't, I think that in all fairness, like I've been very clear here, if we started the ball game with these rules, then we just should flow. But at any rate, if we even intend to make a change, just as the indelible ink thing, and mind you, India is going to spend so much on indelible ink. I thought Ghana. Our budget was heavy, but Charlie, the Indian budget on indelible ink, go and check it out.
Check the population.
Their population.
I know. So key thing here is that changing the game midstream can contribute to some level of mistrust, unfortunately. And
at this transfer, people who are doing transfer.
Maybe it was.
They're giving yogurt whilst they're waiting.
Could be the limited registration.
There's a fantastic candidate, by the way. I like how you've his knee within the Greater Accra region. Very fantastic guy. I think he'll be a great addition to Parliament. Yeah, he's been at it for.
I don't know why we're showing it, but I don't know.
I mean, it's something that happens.
We're promoting
something
ice
that
cream.
happens at the centers. It's part of the course that we have decided to,
So easy is improving farm milk revenue.
So in the CI,
it's not regular.
Flowing from what you said, in the CI, you can find a law which says that you can serve ice cream. So to the extent that somebody is serving ice cream and is not in the
we don't
law,
want people to collapse.
You can sue the
We don't want people to
for
collapse.
allowing the sharing of ice cream because it's not in the CI.
No collapsing. No collapsing. We don't want any collapse.
And let me bring you in.
Yes, Randy. Let me
First of all, what is the situation at your place?
At my place.
With the transfer?
Let me say, because of the way we started, we didn't get the opportunity to extend
true.
heartwarm felicitations to our viewers. So let me say good morning to our viewers.
Yeah. You are a true journalist.
And then mentored by the doctor and co. And especially to the very good people of the Tamale North constituency. I say a very good morning to them. Now, there are two things I agree with Doc on. The first one being that parties ought to understand that you have no control over the votes of the people you facilitate to register or to be transferred. You simply may be doing that based on hope that they will vote the party or the candidate that you want them to vote for. So there are no guarantees. The most important thing is the campaigns that you will embark on after all these exercises. I agree with him on that note. No party has control over the vote of the people you facilitate to transfer or you facilitate to register. it's that unpredictable. The second thing I agree with you on is that no two elections are the same. And so the outcomes, you cannot use last election's results to determine how much more you have to add onto your voter register so that you can change the dynamics. But trends are important in elections because if you look at the trends, you can make, a reasonable deduction, even though it is still subject to some loopholes, some margins of error here and there, but the trends are important. So to the extent that I agree that no two elections are the same, I am just making the point that trends are, however, important in, determining how elections go. Now, having said these things, I think that it's important that we explain it to the understanding of the ordinary man why parties get very agitated about who gets onto the voter roll and who doesn't. Elections, like they say, are not necessarily won on the voting day. There are a lot of steps that are taken. The processes that are taken leading up to the voting day are as important as the voting day activities. So you can lose an election even before the voting day. And so sometimes I like to give practical examples. So if we are going to compile a voter register in a neighborhood election, and maybe I have my neighbors who I am very friendly with, and my family members put on the community voter book, and the rest of the community members don't get to be part of those who will do the voting. I would have already won the election even before the date is fixed against any other opponent in that community. If he doesn't or she doesn't get people he believes or she believes are her friends to be on the book, you can run the best and most effective campaign. If you don't get people you think will be amenable to your campaign on the voter book, you would have lost the election. That is why voter registration is important to political parties. And that is why sometimes some people who have not taken part in elections don't understand why it should generate the heat that it generates. But you need to ensure that just as your opponent is getting people he believes, he has reasonable, cause to believe will vote his party or her party, you also need to ensure that the people you also have the same reasonable belief that they will vote for you also get on the voter roll. Now, when it comes to transfers, there are constituencies we call marginal constituencies or swing constituencies. And these constituencies are usually won by small margins. So, for example, a candidate can win in a constituency with, in fact, has happened before, 3 votes. Honorable Titus Glover. He was called MP3 because he won to go to Parliament by just 3 votes difference. So in a constituency like that, registration exercise is important because, you see, I said the transfers and the registrations are done based on reasonable assumption that the people who get on will vote for either of the parties that put them on. So they are important because 3 votes can make a difference. Again, you will see that in a constituency like that, transfers will be important. Because if I won by 3 votes in the last election, and then I allow my opponent to just transfer even 10 of his family members, and all things are maintained equally, it would have meant that, remember I said, yes, no 2 elections are the same, but trends are important. So it would have meant that if you are using the trend, if he is able to transfer just 10 family members from another constituency, even though they are not qualified to be transferred to that place, it would have threatened my victory of 3. You get it? So in constituencies like that, you find a lot of tension. Now, in my district, and that was a question Doc asked, it is the same tension all over because we may not be marginal constituencies, but then because of the bigger picture, we have to ensure that people are not unnecessarily transferred from our constituencies to affect the results of other constituencies, especially the neighboring constituencies, because of the bigger picture. And so clearly, we, like all other party executives and party members, adhered to the directive of the party to defy the Electoral Commission's directive yesterday. And so this morning, I've not received the feedback yet, but yesterday, as early as 7 to 8 a.m., the district EC office was very tense because our people refused to leave the place. And after a while, a compromise was made for the parties to allow at least one agent each to be present to monitor the process. And I think that is the way to go. And Randy, you see, you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about why there is this tension. The mistrust is palpable. It's something that we all see and feel as we prepare for the elections. First of all, when the Electoral Commission proposed their timetable, Randy, do you know that voter transfer was to take 2 days? That was the first proposal. 2 days was for voter transfer. I know NPP candidate who protested against the 2 days proposal for voter transfers. They protested. And then all of a sudden, I was monitoring the process because I was engaging the stakeholders and I had an interest. All of a sudden, from the proposed 2 days for transfers, it was increased to 16 days. 2 days to 16 days. That is the first, in my view, that is the first point of mistrust. Because I know NPP candidates that are even engaged who protested against the 2 days.
But what has been the
practice?
The practice.
This is the first time transfers are going beyond a week.
Really?
Yes. This is the first time that transfers.
So 16 days.
Yes.
But why do we need
that many days?
We did a limited registration for how many days?
For 22 days or so.
Okay.
Yes.
But for transfer of votes, we need 16 days.
Why do we need that many days for transfers? I can't understand.
Network challenges.
Whatever. But I mean, that for me it was the beginning of the mistrust. Because the question that I have asked remain unanswered. Why do we need that many days for just transfers? Because people who are minded to do their transfers really are not like people who are sometimes cajoled to go and register. If you want to do a transfer, it must be important to you. And you would have assessed that on voting day, you may not be where you reside. Or you would have changed location and you want. I mean, it must be important to you. So 16 days was just something I couldn't, wrap my head around. But yes, they changed the timetable to suit, in my view, some of these protests. And then you agreed that for transparency's sake, political parties be allowed to monitor the process. Yes, it may not have been part of the law. But we are also told by the lawyers that when the law is silent on something, if you do it, you have committed no crime. That's what the lawyers have told us. So there's no law that says that political parties must be allowed to monitor. But there's no law that also says that political parties must not be allowed to monitor. And we are told, I am not a lawyer, but I have heard them say that when the law is silent on a matter, if you don't do it, you commit no crime. If you do it, you commit no crime.
Loophole.
Look, so clearly there was nothing wrong with the agreement at IPAC for political parties to monitor. I think there was everything right with it, especially because it was in the interest of transparency.
If you want to enforce something, the law clearly tells the EC that in carrying out its work, if it wants things to be done in a particular way, then it goes for a CI, and then it relies on that to do it.
So what
it means is that, I mean, the EC cannot, for example, change the rules when the law does not apply for it. But things like this to enhance transparency.
To enhance transparency, I think it was a good
arrangement. Who will go to court and say that the EC is breaching the law?
That's what I'm saying. There's no law to even be breaching.
What is being breached?
Because there's no law that says that you should not allow people to be there. You understand? And the Electoral Commission needs to understand that its independence ends at the responsibility of the political parties. It is the responsibility of the political party to ensure that it is not cheated in the electoral process. It is its responsibility.
Because the question I asked myself, analyzing the issues this early morning, was that, so is the EC saying that if the CI did not make provision for party agents to be at the registration centers, it would have prevented them from being there on the basis of the pockets of violence that have occurred during the registration exercise.
Clearly.
Would they have done that and said that their presence
is creating the violence?
Their presence is engendering violence, so stop them. Yeah. Would they have done that if their presence was not in the law?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, clearly, what they did, that memo that they issued, was not well thought through. It has rather gone to create more mistrust for them. And I mean, this was also an agreement around a table at IPAC. And what do you call it? The memo was issued a day before another IPAC meeting. That was Monday. Yesterday, there was an IPAC meeting. There was to be it
was an emergency.
No, meeting. It was scheduled. I was told it was a scheduled IPAC meeting.
I thought it was
no. I was told it was a scheduled IPAC meeting. Okay. So, if you were going to have an IPAC meeting on Monday, why did you have to rush on Sunday to issue that statement? You could have waited on Monday at that scheduled IPAC meeting to discuss the pockets of violence.
Because they probably were scared that it would degenerate.
Yeah, but you see, that is where you bring in the security, like you did during the limited registration.
Yeah, the question really that I ask myself is that if for this transfer of votes and there are pockets of violence, and we have security agencies who are supposed to deal with this issue, and even with this one, we are creating the impression that the security agencies
is unable to deal
with it. And the law enforcement agencies cannot deal with the issue. Then what about election day itself?
I'm very curious.
Do you understand what I'm saying? What about election day itself? Because some of these things are also a test for us to show the readiness of the agencies and to also let everybody, the agent provocateurs and those who intend to do something, see. This is an opportunity for us to demonstrate that look, if you
play the fool, like we say,
we intend to be resolute, we intend to ensure that nobody mars the thing, we intend to ensure that I mean, the rule of law is adhered to, that we take people through due process if you do these things. But if, with this little thing, you say that, then recourse is that nobody should come there. How do I even get assurance that then on election day, when you have things happening across the length and breadth of this country, we'll be able to contain them?
So
Randy, I just want to end, maybe before Doc comes in, I just want to end by commending our party executives and our party rank and file for their determination and commitment to ensure that this year's election, is done free of any intimidation.
That could be described as unlawful or lawless conduct.
No, Randy. In fact, it is what the late founder of our party, God bless his soul, Jerry
positive defiance,
used to describe as positive defiance. Because you see, that's why I said that the independence of the Electoral Commission, they must understand that their independence ends at the responsibilities of the political parties. So it is the political parties' responsibility to ensure that it is not cheated. And they do so without breaking any law. And there's no law that says that they cannot monitor transfers. So if they decide to monitor transfers, they are carrying out a responsible function, which is not against any law. So if the Electoral Commission, wants to stop them from monitoring it, then they are extending their independence into the responsibilities of the political parties. Are you getting the point I'm making? The political parties are not there to interfere or to take up the job of doing the transfers. No, we are not. They are independent. They should do their work. But We are stakeholders. And so we have the responsibility to ensure that their work does not affect us. And there's no law that says that we cannot come and monitor. So if they say we shouldn't come and monitor, they are rather being unlawful. They are acting, illegally. And our defiance must be seen as a positive one. That is to ensure that our electoral process remains transparent, it remains fair, and we are not stopping any other political party from also monitoring the exercise. In fact, we encourage all the other political parties to do same. And I just once again want to commend our party, rank and file, for standing their ground across the country. Because I monitored the northern region, and in all the constituencies, at all the district offices, our party members were there. They were resolute, and they stood their grounds and ensured that the process was monitored yesterday, even though the Electoral Commission tried to stop them.
May I ask this, that in monitoring as a political party during this exercise, what is the end game for any party? I'm just curious. For instance, if I've gone to Ayawaso West today to do a transfer so that I can vote for Lydia Al-Hassan, December, when I get that done and I leave, how is your presence there going to change?
Let me tell you how.
I'm just curious.
Yes, let me tell you how. For example, I know, and maybe you also know, but you may not agree to it, that the ruling party have done a number of research, and many of their research shows that they have lost or they are losing the December elections.
But you did that in government, and you thought you won. You were going to win. Did it work? Did it work?
Now wait. I'm saying that.
No, I'm asking you.
I'm saying that the research that they have done shows that they are losing or they have lost the thing.
2016.
Now their hope is on engaging in this gerrymandering at the constituency levels.
I beg to differ.
Hoping that they can annex some important seats that can help them, massage the numbers when it comes to the presidency. And that's why I agree with His Excellency President Mahama that no amount of machinations will change that. But to your specific question, you see, when the parties are present, they are able to tell if you satisfy all the conditions precedent before a transfer is done for you.
So you don't have faith in the EC officers who do that?
I mean,
no, that's what
the Americans say, in God we trust.
Not in man.
And everything else you verify. There's nothing wrong with trusting somebody and still verifying. There's nothing wrong with that. And so we are simply there to ensure that if you are going to do a transfer, you are qualified to do it, because there are rules governing the transfer.
I agree with you.
If, for example, if you registered only in May, you can't do a transfer.
No,
if there's a corrupt EC official, not all of them are corrupt, decide to do it for you for whatever purpose, the parties must be there to stop that. You need some proof of residence, like water bills, lights bills, I'm told, and all of that to prove.
I know the requirements.
Now, if the parties are not there and a crooked EC official decides to do it for people who are not qualified, who don't have these things, how will
in fact, during the limited restriction,
how will we know?
The issue that happened up there, where we're told that the EC itself issued a statement and said that the police, they had arrested. It was a party agent who brought to the notice of the police. The place where about some 12 or 13 people were registered with the same
with the same
Ghana card
number. Yes.
I mean, so this was done by an officer of the EC. And it took the vigilance of a party
agent to expose that. And then the EC acted. So, this monitoring helps all of us.
I think that regardless of all the checks and balances, when it comes to these things, there'll be a few administrative errors, which, it should be acceptable. And my key point is that,
you see, if there's monitoring, if there's monitoring by all political parties, the administrative errors will be accepted as they are when they are discovered. But if there's no monitoring, even the administrative errors, anybody will be forgiven to think that they are deliberately done to corrupt the system. And you cannot blame anybody who you deny the opportunity to monitor when that person sees administrative errors as deliberately done acts just to disadvantage him or her.
I think that in all of this too, we need to look at the tendency of our behavior not making people want to go to the center to do transfers. I mean, I'm just saying that, listen, through all of this, to not disenfranchise people, there's a big word. It embarrassed one parliamentarian some time ago. Disenfranchise. I've said it twice. I won't say it the third time. So that we don't disenfranchise people, I think that both parties, we need to be mellow on our exuberance at the centers. And I'll take this opportunity to plead with all Ghanaians that, voting is an exercise of, how we are thinking, and it should be non-violent. And maybe today I'll take on my, I didn't bring a cassock, but today I'll take on the cassock role of pleading to Ghanaians that, yes, we agree that the election process, leads up into whoever wins. I agree. And it must be done orderly, so that the outcome is agreeable to both parties, unlike, Donald Trump, who still thinks he won the last election. I really think that all of us are stakeholders, because if the country dips into chaos, every business is affected. All of us are affected, and that's what we don't want. So
the godfather of appropriate dispute resolution.
Has made an
Honorable Stingave. He says that provided the EC, Peace Council, and Christian Council, and all peace-loving Ghanaians want peace, is available to help.
Well, he's a very dynamic man. I'm hoping that he'll be in agreement that if the ball was set rolling with some rules of engagement, it should be played out to the end. And if even there's midstream changes, they should sit at the table.
Yeah, I don't even understand these things. Me, 92, I was registered as fire service, Okanshi.
Okay. Market
because
lane.
Then there were other shops at Okanshi. Afterwards, I moved to Abekan Presby, because it was closer to home.
Yeah.
And I voted there.
Simple.
Even when I was at Adenta,
you still come
I'll
there.
go to go and vote. I didn't do a transfer.
Yeah.
You see, I moved to La.
Still.
I was voting there at Abekan Presby until was it 2020? The new register that I then registered at Zenith University
to exercise your vote.
I mean, what is the big deal about some of these things?
Your case is different. You see, you are within Accra, and the roads.
No, even if I were to move, and there was a legitimate basis
to do a transfer.
For me to do a transfer, I will follow the process.
Exactly.
Why should I be scared? Why should it be?
Exactly.
You understand me? You see, when people see a busing, a certain facilitation, especially when these are constituencies where the numbers are not that, marginal. Below 5,000 and those things.
Those issues.
It then raises, and you will see that you check for most of the places where we have issues. Last week I've been bombarded with videos from Lejokuku.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think, people who watch this program.
Wait, who's running over there?
It's because of Dr. Okoboy.
Okoboy.
For people who watch this program, because
they see you and Okoboy.
I mean,
the fraternity.
Yes, I mean, so.
So then this is busting
what
people
Okoboy
there.
Is doing.
People keep sending me.
Have you seen what your man is doing?
The man too. I found out he's not even in the country.
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't have to be there.
No, I'm just saying. I then found that's what led me to find out that he's not. But the point I'm making is that people keep saying, as we discussing this issue now, at least 6 different persons have sent me videos
of buses
from Lejokuku.
Yeah. No, but let me be
those things, and those are the things that generate the tension.
In my constituency,
but trust me, if you allow the parties to be present and then to monitor and to ensure that even if they are bust, they are people qualified to do the transfer.
In my constituency,
no, but when you don't allow them there and they see the buses going, it just breeds more mistrust.
In my place where Agape is and where the center is, I have to bus people. So I mean, this is that one. If I'm busing, need to bus Agape.
is it not in the same constituency?
It is.
So why would people want to do transfer?
That's limited registration. We are talking limited registration.
Yes.
But
transfer you don't need.
No, that was the Basin was limited registration.
No, you don't know that.
For Okoboy.
No, what they are sending me, they are suggesting that it was. I think the one is even gone viral is a woman. Yeah. Who, I mean, you're speaking Ghanaian, you know. Yeah. And people keep sending it to me. I said, oh, yes.
But
I mean, call your friend.
Oh, no, it's as if,
they are telling you, call your friend.
It's as if I'm his constituency chairman.
They should understand.
Yes, it's my friend. It's my younger brother and everything. I've not even had the opportunity of asking him what is going on. Is it true?
No, but you see, Okoboy is a nice man. People want to just transfer there and vote for him. It's nice.
Oh, my friend.
You understand? Me cry. You think
I can't wait for him to come.
Opportunity.
I can't wait for him to come and address these issues.
I should use the opportunity to transfer.
You just make you laugh.
Who doesn't like a minister of health in this constituency? We all do. You understand? So fanboy, Okoboy, people want to go and vote for him. Just want to. What crime has he committed?
He has a tough opponent. You know, that same opponent was dismissed in the last election until he pulled that surprise. So he's a ground worker. He's a deliverer.
You know, even in 2020, I mean, at dawn, when the results were declared in Okoboy had lost. Yeah. Oh, people were sending messages to me.
As if you're Okoboy.
Oh, what year? We have defeated
you. So if Okoboy is doing groundswork, then that was your problem.
I might as well just adopt him as my.
Right now, people want to go there.
Right? People send me a message. I'm going to read. We have defeated you. You have lost the election.
But this time, you know, I think Suhini agrees that this time, Lejokuku will fall for MPP.
Oh no! I don't see that happening at all. Okay. I admire the efforts of Okoboy. I like his comeback spirit. But trust me, the MP is doing a fantastic job. I mean, in opposition, some of the things that he has been able to accomplish are just, mind-boggling. I cannot wait to see him perform magic when the NDC comes to power with him as a member of parliament. He's been dynamic.
No, but
so I think Okoboy is doing well, but he's not the subject for discussion now. But I am saying that.
But what I'm saying is that I am going to transfer there to vote for him.
He has a tougher opponent.
You understand?
And he has worked
people want to transfer there to vote for him. Are you understanding that? A lot of us want to go and vote for Okoboy.
Well, you'll have to prove your qualification to be allowed to be transferred. Otherwise, our boys who are on the ground.
All right, so
we'll show you something
I'll
small.
Go and rent tomorrow.
Like said, we'll show you something small.
I'm renting tomorrow. In
Lejokuku.
No curfew.
All right, okay. So we need to take a break, but the National Health Insurance Authority, as part of its 20th anniversary, made provision of 2 million cedis. 2 weeks ago, we discussed it here, and I showed how little it was as far as
the need.
Yes, thing was and all that. And, well, I'm sure that announcement is gone out, and because it's been made by a politician, in fact, and it's something that they intend to do from June to December. And they're dealing with a small category of persons who have need for dialysis and all that. But guess what? That's just 2 million cedis. And I showed you how perhaps insignificant, pardon my expression, if we were to look at that is concerned. But the fourth estate, they brought you SML and showed us all the things by SML. Okay. So they have a latest one. They say that we've paid 56 million for Wi-Fi.
It's matter.
And the Wi-Fi is doing a high five. We'll be back shortly. Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. So with me on the show I have Dr. Dixon Admaku Kisi and Alhaji Al Hassan Suhini. But what does wealth mean to you? Do you want to live like a tycoon? Remember, I was God and Mola got the power. Ghana's newest lottery game draws live on Adom TV at 9 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. daily. Now pick up your phones, tablets, and computers and download the Game Park Games app on Play Store. You can also play on the website at www.gameparkgames.com or by dialing star 946 on all networks. Just choose 4 numbers from 0 to 9. It's easy to play and easy to win. Charlie, we play this game and make some mola. Nobody beats out in Ghana. Game Park Games, more mola, more power. This game is regulated by a National Lottery Authority and it's not for persons under 18. Play responsibly. And talking about Game Park Limited, yesterday was the birthday of the CEO, Bibi Bright. Yesterday was her birthday. Happy birthday. We spoke yesterday, he didn't tell me it was her birthday. Okay, so I found out. So happy belated birthday to you, Bibi Bright, the CEO of Game Park Limited. Ayesoko, the Akosomo Dam be big, but Beto is cash out be bigger. Beto is giving you more control over every thrilling bet you place. Enjoy the biggest and most reliable cash out in Ghana on Betway without any hassle. Sign up today at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. It's not for persons under 18. It's regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more. And Blue Jeans energy drink has been on the Ghanaian market for over 20 years. We already know what it does for the body. It contains vitamins and nutrients like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy as well as promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans energy drink has been tested and tried. It's indeed the best. Blue Jeans energy drink is for bold and active men and women. So go and grab a cold can and power your day. It's in shops nationwide. You can reach Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 0208 128 or 055 001 0000. Okay. So before we get to Wi-Fi, the same Fourth Estate, so Manasseh Azurawuni, also raised the alarm over a 5G contract and raised quite a lot of issues. And he thought that there were problems with it. The ministry said that, look, they believe it's above board. There's no problem with that. But Alaji, the NDC minority kicks against opaque 5G spectrum deal. And it says that minority caucus in Parliament has noted with grave concern the decision by the Kufuor-Bawumia government to give away Ghana's 5G spectrum to a shadowy entity, Next Gen Infraco Company Limited, for the next 10 to 15 years. Under this deal, Next Gen Infraco Limited has been given the exclusive right to build, own, and operate the entire 5G infrastructure network across the country for the use of all mobile network operators, internet service providers, and other interested entities. It is instructive to note that executive approval was granted by President Kufuor for this sweetheart deal on 22nd August 2023, barely 1 week after the company's incorporation on 16th August 2023. This was done through a non-transparent arrangement without any competitive process whatsoever. After a preliminary study of the processes leading to this opaque transaction, the minority caucus takes the view that the Next Gen Infraco 5G deal is inimical to the national interest for the following reasons. One, they say there's a lack of value for money, because the state could have generated up to $400 to $500 million upfront. Says if the government had opted for a more competitive process, says the revenue could have been channeled into critical development projects in this time of economic bankruptcy. Says sadly, government is giving away this important asset for a paltry $125 million payable in yearly installments on a work and pay basis over the next 10 years. Okay, so it means that they pay $12.5 million every year for 10 years to cover the 125. And there's no unfair monopoly and exclusivity. It says the company will be the only company to offer wholesale services. All existing mobile network operators and internet service providers cannot offer data and voice without passing through the company. The company will control a substantial 62.5% of every data voice bundle package every mobile user uses, with only 7.5% going to government and 30% for mobile network operators and internet service providers. They say that the monopoly and exclusive rights granted Next Gen and that this opaque deal is unfair to other industry players. They also speak about absence of parliamentary approval, and they say that it is a multi-year contract, hence subject to parliamentary approval per Section 33 of the PFMA, Act 921. And they say that the government is almost concluding a deal at the blind side of Parliament. This renders the entire transaction unlawful, not void, and of no legal effect. And they say that some of the entities in the consortium, which are the beneficiaries of these opaque transactions, are mushroom entities owned by cronies of President Kufuor and the Minister of Communications with questionable track records. So some of these entities have been engaged by this same government in similar arrangements that have offered no value for money for the state. And they also say that regulatory framework and operational modalities and guidelines for this opaque arrangement have not been clearly defined. It says the investment that this consortium is expected to make to justify their humongous 63% stake has also not been clearly defined. The caucus holds the view that at the time that the country is in dire need of foreign exchange and non-tax revenues, unconscionable that the government will hand over, the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government will hand over the precious and highly sought-after 5G spectrum of the country to a shell company for a pittance. Says clearly this deal for all intents and purposes is inimical to our national interests. So the NDC Minority Caucus has therefore flagged this transaction for eagle-eye scrutiny. In the coming days, we shall be addressing the media and by extension the Ghanaian people on these vexed matters and collaborate with other stakeholders to ensure that our national interest is upheld. Alaji, is this statement not premature to the extent that it looks like the deal is not being consummated? Is it not premature? Especially if you look at the issue of parliamentary whatever. Obviously, people might raise the issue that, look, it's not yet time for this to be brought before Parliament and all that. What has necessitated this particular presser?
Well, Randy, first of all, I think that it's important that one makes the distinction between this and the internet service provision to the senior high.
Oh, no.
schools.
It's a different story.
Yes, because of the way you introduced.
No, it's a different story.
Because I was preparing for that one.
Oh, no, it's a
when
different
this
story.
One came. So it's important that we record.
This is a handshake before the high five.
That's what I wanted us to distinguge. That the internet for senior high schools
that's
is
completely
unrelated.
Different.
Yes, it's unrelated to this 5G discussion. I think that the internet to senior high schools is just another example of how this government has just set up entities and business enterprises to rape our country. And I said it many times in the past that every time they came out to announce, their trackers and, gave themselves high marks for doing what they promised to do in their manifesto, I kept asking of impact assessment. So you get up and say, okay, we are going to ensure that all senior high schools have internet, or we have done it. And yet you go to the senior high schools and there's no internet. Really? What is the impact? The you have done it is only to the extent that you have paid somebody 56 million Ghana cedis with no work done. No impact. You talk about one village, one dam. Oh, we have done it. But none of the dams, are even doing half the purpose for which they were supposed to have been set up to do. In fact, many of us who still have some rural communities in our constituencies almost yearly are still bombarded with requests from these villages to help dredge their dams. Dams, in some cases, that were supposed to have been captured under the one village, one dam. But they just went and did something for show. So this internet to senior high schools, I believe, falls in that category of just pretending to be doing something so that some funds can be released to some party apparatchiks to make them rich. But and perhaps that is why it is not too early that the minority has issued a statement on the rollout of the 5G. Randy, you remember that the Minister of Communications was the first to address a presser on the government's intention to roll out the 5G. And that started a conversation that obviously the minority needed to show interest in, because obviously we, inshallah, are the next government, and so such a conversation around such a critical national resource cannot be taking place without the voice of the minority being heard. So I will say on that note, it is not too early that the minority has spoken on this matter. I think it is timely, and we must commend the leadership for making the position of the minority known on this matter. But Randy, I'm not an expert in that area. Mm-hmm. So what I have been doing is speaking to people in that area. And on that note, I will say that even if there are red flags, and I think there are red flags, we should conduct the discussion in such a way that we will be seeking the best interest of Ghana and Ghanaians as far as the rollout of this 5G is concerned. Why am I saying this? From my interactions with people in the industry, I've come to learn that there was a 4G. Randy, whatever that means, mm-hmm. There was a 4G. And there was a desire to roll it out, to benefit Ghanaians and to benefit the economy, and that it was auctioned. And because it is a very prized, resource, it could not have been sold for cheap. And so during the auction, many industry players could not raise the required amount needed to purchase the spectrum for the rollout of the 4G. And that the only entity that was strong enough financially to meet government's expectation was MTN. And so MTN procured that spectrum. And they had the monopoly, and I'm highlighting monopoly, to deploy 4G across the country. Unfortunately, as we speak, according to the experts, they have not even been able to roll up beyond 14% of 4G. And that, in my view, has fallen short of the expectation of government when it comes to how 4G was aimed, or it was hoped that it will be used to transform our economy and improve our mobile telephony experience as a people. So you have these concerns that are raised about how we dealt with 4G, and you see, you need this history so that it can guide you as to how you take decisions related to this new opportunity to roll out a higher spectrum, in this case, 5G. And you'll want to look at other countries' experiences. I mean, what have other countries done, or how have they rolled out some of these things, Randy? I have, done a little research, and I've realized that many countries in rolling out 5G have done this public-private partnership things. They have used government incentives and subsidies sometimes. They have also, in some cases, collaborated with MNOs, that's the mobile network operators, to share resources and infrastructure. I haven't yet come across a country where the state, so to speak, took on the responsibility of rolling it out on its own without these collaborations. So clearly, then you begin to think that, okay, perhaps there's some sense in ensuring these collaborations. And perhaps that is why government, even when we're dealing with 4G, decided to auction it the way we did, even though it has not lived up to expectation. But Randy, most importantly for me in this conversation is, what is our national strategy to use this 5G to transform change? What is our national strategy? And that is where I fault the NCA, the National Communication Authority. In, just asking questions and doing some research on this matter, I came across a national strategy of using 5G to transform change in Somalia, for example. And I was impressed about how the National Communication Authority of that country rolled out a stakeholder engagement that allowed civic and civil society participation in crafting a national 5G strategy to drive transformation and change. We have failed to do that as a country. And it's as if the president and his government have decided what is in our best interest when it comes to how we will use this, rich resource to transform our country and drive change. And perhaps the NCA should have taken a cue from other such bodies across the continent to begin a national conversation that will anchor on our experience with 4G and how the expectations of government when it auctioned it hasn't yet been met. And so we'll have that national conversation of how to deploy this 5G so that we can get better than we got with the 4G. Unfortunately, that hasn't been done. All we were told once upon a time in Parliament was that the minister had announced that there was a need for us to break the monopoly of MTN, monopoly that was enhanced by their access of 4G, and that is in no doubt. And you wonder if that is fair, and sometimes I think it is not really fair to MTN because they didn't become a dominant market player by just sleeping on the job. I think they worked for it. And so on that score, you cannot fault them for being a dominant market player. But you also have to understand, and I remember these conversations we had during the sale of Vodafone, that it is strategically important for the communication of a country not to be controlled by one, MNO, especially when that company is not state-owned. It is strategically important. And so even though MTN has worked so hard to become a major market player, a dominant market player, it is still in the interest of the state not to allow them to have that much control over everything, communication and data in this country. It is a national security concern that a state should be interested in guarding against. And so I would have expected that a conversation championed by the NCA would have helped us to use this 5G to craft a way of not necessarily disadvantaging MTN, but also creating opportunities for other network operators, especially those that can be controlled and owned by the state, to become more competitive in the industry. But in the absence of that, you have what we have been presented with as, the best deal for the country. And that's why I started by saying that, look, are they red flags? Yes, they are red flags. They are red flags. They are pure red flags. I mean, I've heard talk about when the company was registered, when the executive approval was given, the lack of transparency issues that the minority has highlighted. These are all red flags. Now, it is important that we conduct this conversation around these red flags in such a way that we, at the end of the day, get the best way forward for this country and for mobile companies and consumers of the service that they provide. It's important. It is where I think it is hasty will be to conclude, to make certain conclusions based on these red flags.
Right.
But it is important to highlight these red flags and see if they are, red flags that can be remedied or red flags that should lead to a change in direction. It is important.
Right.
Yeah. I have a serious reservation, forgive me, about media engagement, largely with sometimes corporate government relations in terms of the information that should be made public and not to be made public. And I say this with the greatest of respect to the media houses. I think that even in corporate life, class A stock owners and B stock owners, when they hold shareholder meetings, it's not made public. and those with ordinary stocks may have the general knowledge. I say this because I'm looking at the future, where deals structured, demands will be made on the entities to necessarily put these things out when it's supposed to be, kept within the confines of the corporate entity. And yes, there's right to information. I agree to that, but then
the only difference with this one is that you're dealing with a natural resource. The 5G spectrum.
I haven't ended.
Yeah, the 5G spectrum is no different from oil, or gold, or cocoa.
No. Can I? Because the reason why I'm saying this is that I'm looking further into the future. One, in terms of our investor relationship management, and two, in terms of the extent to which sometimes true business transactions are colored politically, and it's not helping us. And I'm not even taking 5G issue.
Right.
I'm talking
in
general that we need to be very mindful that business reportage, when it comes to dealings in business, needs some finesse, needs some carefulness. If not, listen, there are some investors who would come and be willing to spend, but they don't even want their names to be out there, to be quadruple scrutinized, because it would affect even their reputation in the US or in the UK. So I'm only sounding some level of cautiousness that it shouldn't be. Listen, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in his dealings with Mobitel way back, it is now that some of us can go and be privy to the intricacies of the transactions, because it's been 20 plus years. Please, are you understanding me? So, and I'm not saying that all things should be kept in a vacuum or hidden from the general population for X amount of years. But my key thing is that, in as much as we like to do reportage and try to nose around everything, I think that we need to be very cautious. There's a thin line between corporate relations, investor relations, and governance, or corporate governance, and then country governance. And I really think that, with the greatest of respect, we need to be very particularly mindful. It's almost like some of the things we say about certain banks, like Société Générale recently. Forgive me for, and how it can have an adverse impact on the bank. The Indums and the GN banks. Some commentaries can adversely impact business. So I'm here. One, I'm not going to say that I'm the authority on 5G network, but let me add that, listen, yesterday when I saw China land on the moon, a lot of things went through my mind that, Ghana da bang. Ghana da bang. In the sense that we're here worrying about tomatoes and kontomire, and these people are doing huge things, to the extent that when TikTok moves, the American economy can shake. And this is a Chinese-owned entity. So when is Ghana going to be a stakeholder? Because it's even funny that we're talking about 5G. We are still behind, in terms of the advancement, and rightly so, because one, we can't afford. We will always certainly be behind with the rest of the world in terms of internet speed. This is all. These networking things, infrastructure things, comes down to your connectivity, your traffic, and the volume of data you can move within the internet space, and it's costly. And I think that, one, oversight is important. I believe in what the minority is doing. They have a right to peruse and make questions, but I also think that there's always a limitation to where government can be so involved, because at the end of the day, listen, it's the person that pays that calls the tune, and sometimes, forgive me, we chew or bite more than we can chew. That's the right word, in the sense that sometimes we don't have nothing. Somebody is coming with it, and we are rather making determinations and things like that, and muddying the process of what the technical people are doing. And I try not to be far-reaching in terms of my limitations with regards to deal structuring, with regards to the necessary due diligence that needs to be done. So I am of the opinion that, listen, this is just symptoms of future mishaps if we're not careful in how we manage brokerage dealings, the KPMGs and what they have to do, or, Ernst & Young and all these other accounting industry. I think that, like this first statement here, lack of value for money. Make a statement of lack of value for money and tell me that in your truest market assessment from this people's assessment, then I know, because I can also sit here and say that government could have made, 1 billion or 1 million. What is your justification? And I'll throw that question back to my own Dr. Atuforsen that, hey, listen, we're doing politics, but business rules are 101. Your valuation, how did you arrive at it? Because what are you looking at to arrive at these valuations that you're talking about? And how do you justify that government could have made, whether 400 to 500? How do you justify it? From what? How do you make money from nothing? That's the first thing I'm going to just ask Atuforsen when I meet him. So I'm here to as it is, put some carefulness in how we try to reach out. And this is costing us, just like in the case of these tax incentives. And listen, it's a very complicated discussion. We've had it in many circles. Atuforsen several years ago was for tax exemptions. Now he's drinking different water and saying different things about tax exemptions. Fair should be fair. What we know is good for business, environment, business does not change, regardless of who's in government. And I'm pleading that, in as much as MPP is very pro-business, that is what our mandate usually is. We want to, that is what we profess, that the MPP is very pro-business.
That's right.
And I believe that in doing all of that, the NDC, being opposition, still need to be mindful of the fact that, listen, if we bring down all businesses down, and supposing you even win, you're going to make it's going to be difficult for you to bring everything up. So as we do these things, we need to be mindful of the sentiments of the investors we deal with in this country. We need to be mindful of the regulations and rules that are worldwide. I think recently one Ghanaian was arrested in the U.S. as a result of his intent to bribe people. So corporate entities in the foreign world are very particular about their investors and the stories around them. And mind you, sometimes we make damning statements that are totally erroneous, and yet the damages far exceed what we are trying to do. So I'm making a plea here that, listen, there's a limit to how far politics can go. There's a limit to what government can do in terms of business structuring. And if an airline industry is buying an airplane for X amount, listen, those are the market value, and it's the market that determines more than the government. And if you can prove otherwise in court through very well studied estimations, I'm all for it. But his very fair statement here, lack of value for money, because we just want to say lack of value for money, please. I'm not in support of that. I want facts and strong figures.
It gives a reason why it says there's no value for money. If you read the statement, he says that our conservative analysis shows that the state could have generated up to 400 upfront if the government had opted for a more competitive process. And he also takes issues with the spread of the 125 million over a 10-year period, linking it to a work and pay. That if they have to pay 12.5 million every year over 10 years, they simply will be working, generating the money and using part to pay you. That's the point he's making.
We were here when he agreed to 10 years tax incentives for Jata. He was part of it. No, I mean these are things that are.
But this is not tax incentive. This is not a tax incentive.
No, I'm just saying.
He's saying that
as a payment plan.
He's saying that
as a payment plan.
He's saying that it doesn't make sense to give this resource to a company and spread the payment over 10 years and ask the company to pay you 12.5 million every year over 10 years. Listen, it is like giving the company the thing work and pay so that.
But it is business structuring.
Yeah, but he's saying,
and that is also
he's
part
saying
of
that the structuring of this business is inimical to the country.
Well,
you did a 4G.
Well,
you did a 4G.
Yeah.
How much did you raise from the 4G?
Yeah.
If you were to, will somebody disagree that if it were maybe a competitive, even if the process, even if government decided to use the same process, could you have changed the payment plan?
Well, I mean that is subject to further review, but that can be done. But my point here.
So I'm saying that raising these legitimate issues is for government or the ministry to come and tell us that we are better off being paid, spreading the payment over a 10-year period.
We can do 250 for 5 years, something of that sort. I mean, well, I'm just saying. I mean, but that is but that comes back to my point that business dealings. Ours is to make sure that one, things are moving appropriately, and we sometimes the nitty-grittiness is like you're micromanaging, and I really think that it becomes far-reaching when you then want to be into the
but government is managing the resource on our behalf. It's like government is going to dispose of your oil or gold.
But a chunk of the initial investment is from
whatever it is.
Foreign.
Whatever it is. The resource, which is at the center, is your resource.
Yeah.
It is not somebody's private resource.
But you can access
so you
it
cannot get
them.
I don't have a problem. I'm not sure that the issue that is being raised here is a public-private partnership issue.
Correct.
Or the fact that it's going to private hands.
Correct.
All they are saying is that
government could
the process, yes. They're dealing a lot of the... If I read the statement, they are raising a lot of issues about the process. About the process.
I'm talking from the experience of
from our
ABBEY deal.
Yes.
Okay. And forgive me. Listen, we the MPP at some point during the brokerage felt that things were off. But trust me, I mean, I'm not going to miss my words here on TV. That when we came into government and reviewed it, some amendments were made, which literally was in support of what the NDC had agreed upon.
It was worse.
No, but you get my point. And what I'm trying to say is that, listen, sometimes when you are not at the table and the discussions are ongoing, I'm sure somebody posed the same question during the discussion, and some arguments were proffered to allay the fears of the people. So it is fair, it is okay, but I really think sometimes we do it too much.
Okay, so there's a story. I don't know what you think about this one too. And it's well written, but the contents are not pleasant. It was 11 a.m. on July 6, 2023 at one of Ghana's prestigious senior high schools. Guess which school? Accra Academy. Students had gathered in the Information and Communications Technology Lab, tapping their fingers impatiently on keyboards with exasperating sighs. In contrast, others muttered under their breaths in frustration, desperately trying to connect to the internet, with time slipping away and the assignment deadline fast approaching. Disappointment was etched on their faces as the blank screens on their computer monitors flashed with the inscription, "No internet access." Accra Academy Senior High School was one of over 700 schools connected to the internet as part of government's Wi-Fi for Schools program. For a while, jumping on the information superhighway was a breeze for both students and tutors, but within a year, the internet was no longer available. The school was disconnected. Quote, "The internet stopped working when we were informed too," says a final year student. We no longer use it at the ICT lab. The headmaster, Emmanuel Ofie Fiamawel, explains that the government-supplied internet only worked for a year but was always unstable. Complaints have been filed. He claims that the company responsible for the network has failed to respond positively or meaningfully. The Old Students Association has since intervened to keep Accra Academy's vital administrative functions connected to the internet. Currently, it's only the school's administration, accounts office, and data room that are connected, said the headmaster. The ICT lab and the libraries, where students usually go for research, are without an internet connection. Although Labone SHS has the IT infrastructure installed by the government, the internet has never worked. The school relies on Telcel Ghana's internet service. The government has, however, been paying for internet for the school. Drone says the situation is no better at the Labone SHS, also in Accra. Although the school, I've just says, however, this service is only accessible in the school's administrative block, which houses the headmaster and other management staff. At the Bolgatanga SHS Big Boss, an e-learning center sits in the heart of the school. The center was put up to facilitate teaching and virtual learning among students while assisting teachers to undertake academic research and prepare their lessons. But a year after it was opened, Wi-Fi internet connectivity stopped working. This has not only affected the e-learning center and purpose it was supposed to serve, it has also affected the preparation of lesson notes by teachers. Since the Wi-Fi stopped working, staff have had to use their mobile data to conduct online research. Authorities say several complaints to the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education have yielded no results. Despite this challenge, Bolgatanga Senior has qualified for 2 national championships, the National Science and Maths Quiz in 2023 and the Energy Commission Senior High School Renewable Energy Challenge in 2022. However, the unavailability of internet connectivity affected preparations as the students could not hold virtual lessons and conduct research work online, forcing the school to opt out of both competitions. This is frustrating and demoralizing. A student who did not want to be named said of the situation. The Free Wi-Fi for Schools program was in fulfillment of a 2016 manifesto promised by the governing MPP to collaborate, quote, with the private sector to provide free Wi-Fi coverage for senior, secondary, and tertiary institutions nationwide, dedicated to learning, administration, and enhancing the capacity to do research. According to the project contractor, the policy resulted in a connection of over 1,000 institutions to the internet as of February 2024. Apart from the SHS's 16 regional education offices, 46 colleges of education, and 260 district education offices were also expected to be connected within a year. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who launched the initiative in February 2020, said it will be a leveler of academic opportunities. He said it was part of a broader program to bridge the technology gap in the country and provide learning through internet use. There is much knowledge on the internet and we have to allow senior high schools to access the knowledge. We promise free Wi-Fi and we are going to deliver, he said at a town hall meeting in Kumasi in 2020. And almost 4 years after the launch of the program, the lofty promises are yet to be fulfilled and a number of schools are without internet connection in Ghana. Yet, 56 million cedis has been paid to Busy Internet, an internet service provider which appears to have since folded up. And its contract is now assigned to a company called Lifted Logistics, which only secured a conditional internet service provider license in February 2024. When the contract was awarded for the provision of internet services to school in December 2019, the intent was to have school administration blocks, libraries, and ICT labs connected. However, 48 out of the 50 schools, Evans Aziamo Menson of the Fourth Estate visited between June and July 2023, had no internet connectivity. And here, they've spoken to IT coordinators, and they're saying that Mr. Jepon Bempa has excused that they could not provide information on whether a school's internet was functional or not until August 2023 because Busy Internet suspended its operations for those years is not accurate. Business lead of Lifted Logistics, Dickinson Jepon Bempa, told the Fourth Estate that the company did not present any bill to the government of Ghana for the months it did not provide service to certain schools, but this claim is false. Accra Academy, Labone Senior High School, and Bolgatanga girls have been without internet under the Busy Internet project for periods up to 24 months. However, they feature prominently on a list of schools whose internet services Lifted Logistics invoiced and received payments for. The company also received payment for St. Mary's SHS, that's Mary's colleague, Fafra Community DSHS, Adan Technical, Nungwa SHS, Prebi, Teshi Presby, Ashaman SHS, Kbeje, Boku, Edujama, between 2020 and 2023. But all these schools had no internet access for those years. A policy advocacy organization, Africa Edu Watch, has also conducted research and found that 107 schools out of 150 visited across the country were not enjoying any benefits on their free Wi-Fi project. So it goes on and on about value for money and all that. And it's still not getting information from the ministry. The fourth is as Nana Jemfi Adjabo of the Center for National Distance Learning and Open Schooling. It says, I think this is a clear case for us to review again those two monitoring mechanisms to protect the public purse. That was his response. And despite multiple requests for information since July 2023, the Ministry of Education has refused to provide a monthly breakdown of what it has paid Busy Internet since January 2020. And Nana Jemfi Adjabo also failed to provide information of how much the government has paid Busy Internet. He also promised to provide the data after the interview on May 6, 2024, but failed to do so. The business lead of Lifted Logistics, Mr. Bempa, denied knowledge of how much his agency has so far received from the contract from government. But so far, what we know is that the company received 56 million cedis for work it supposedly did for 9 months, for which it cannot show any tangible result because most schools don't have the services they were supposed to provide. The payment was for January to September 2023, according to parliamentary records. This period includes the months the fourth estate visited and observed that the internet was not working in 48 out of 50 schools. Look, we have a pension of paying a lot of money for nothing. And officialdom is also very reluctant in providing information.
Yeah. From a public account standpoint, I think that further auditing needs to be done to ascertain, one, if payment has happened and for which period, and if truly the service was erratic, why was it erratic? And I'm not very particularly knowledgeable about the, contractual agreement and when it was supposed to be effective for, but it was nice to listen to the intro. My senior brother went to Akaraka, so he's always fond of the Akaraka page. I don't even remember when he finished, but yeah. So his enthusiasm about Akaraka has made me also like sort of an Akaraka boy in a way. But be it as it may, I think that we are at a point in our educational system that students literally need to do research work. They need to be online and using internet like all other children in the global world. And looking at the idea of providing tablets to students, I think that making sure that there's internet connectivity available would be a very serious priority of the government. As it stands, I think some number of tablets will be deployed this year, and for the assurance that these tablets will be utilized this year, I'm sure that this incongruence or this lack of connectivity will have to be addressed, because I believe the president and the vice president launched this initiative even this year with regards to tablets. In all of this, one possible thing is, I don't know if this is a prepayment for service to be rendered later on this year or not. I don't know. But from 2020 is a long time. Some have even finished SHS and left without benefiting from the internet access. But in concluding, I would hope that the agency or people, at the helm of this can come up with the appropriate, information, so that all of us would be at peace and can appreciate whether truly government paid necessarily for the infrastructure first and then the internet connectivity afterwards, or what. I don't know. Because this no matter what, to have connectivity on campus, you need the modem and all those other things that go with it. But let me also add that I'm looking forward to finding money to acquire one of these Elon Musk satellite dishes, which I hear is fantastic. Have you gotten one yourself?
No.
Yeah, I hear it's super fantastic. So that I can try it. Or if they are looking for somebody to try it out in Accra, Ghana, Dr. Adbanku Kisi is ever ready. I hear you can literally work with it anywhere in the world, in Ghana especially, and it will be very nicely done. I mean, I've seen some of the places where they've used it, especially being on a boat or ship and having powerful internet access is heavenly. Yeah. So for this case, one from a public account perspective, you should be paying for service, and services have to be rendered. So auditing has to be done, and if government has paid for service it hasn't received, it has to be either delivered. The service has to be delivered, or the monies have to be returned. Okay. I mean, it's straightforward.
Right.
You know,
we love paying for nothing. When we claim we don't have money.
When we claim we don't have money.
No, this is before COVID.
When we claim we don't
after.
have money.
Oh, 2020.
2023.
Oh, just last year.
Yes.
Oh, then that one.
Randy, it's so disheartening. It's so disheartening when you see and hear how government spend our limited resources.
We can have
nothing.
Big headline over the allocation of 2 million Ghana cedis.
Yes. For dialysis.
When
Andy.
19 people died because we couldn't provide 4 million cedis for a dialysis center to be open. Huh?
Yeah.
And 19 people died.
Yeah. And yet.
And we can give 56 million.
Yeah. And yet, we can go and give how much? $11 million for no work done at Paulugu.
They said they did design
and that's
feasibility and
I mean,
constructed
when
a
you
road.
When you even hear those excuses,
they said they did a road and something.
We are not even talking of Ghana cedis, right?
Yeah.
We're talking of dollars, $11 million, and then they say they put up some infrastructure, and then the wind blew it away.
Huh?
And that they did some shed, and then during the rainy season, I mean, $11 million.
Natural disaster.
But Randy, it gets so offensive when you even hear the explanations that are offered. Motorway, $2-3 million here. SkyTrain, $2 million down, no work done. I mean, all over. All over. And then you remember, Paulugu, what the vice president said, the biggest investment in, any government has ever done. And when we talk of this $11 million, I am not sure that...
Why do you say 11? It's 12 point something.
12, yeah, I mean, I'm just being conservative. 12.5.
Or you know where the 1 point something went to?
Maybe that was what was used for the launching. I mean, the commissioning of the party that was organized to tell us what they were going to do. And I have said this repeatedly on many platforms in the past, and I repeat it again. Every time Dr. Bahawumia mounted the platforms to say, we've done this, we've done that, the question I always asked was, what is the impact? I mean, sometimes, apart from those that are claimed to have been done, that have been proven not to have been done at all, there are even those that, in some cases, they have attempted work. Like when we're in school, we used to say attempted work. They have attempted work. But you see that the focus, the mindset, is not really on transformation. It's not really on making an impact. It is always steeped in propaganda and winning an election. So you see that the intentions that we have when introducing policies and implementing policies can either make those policies lead to transformation and making greater impacts or not. And so for me, I see that this government's intentions, when they are introducing every policy or any program, are always based on two. Who is making the money and are we taking the box? What happens after doesn't really matter. So, internet for senior high schools. Take the box. Go and provide some, shell infrastructure. And who is getting the money? 56 million. Release it to the person. No assessment, no follow-up to see whether it is done. And you can see this story in almost every contract or transaction that this government has engaged in, especially if you go through the audit report on the COVID expenditure. It just stinks. The focus, the intention is never to transform. Look, and you have him talk about digital economy and all of that. Developing a digital economy is based on the infrastructure. And the infrastructure, like those in the fintech business will tell you, is the backbone of any digital economy. And so, Andy, read the NDC People's Manifesto of 2020.
Yeah.
There's a section titled Developing a Digitally Functional Economy. Developing a digitally functional economy. The 2020 manifesto of the NDC.
Yeah.
And you will appreciate the level of work and understanding that went into the considerations that were captured, to be rolled out if the NDC had won the 2020 elections. And this would have been rolled out on the backbone of the infrastructure that was already built under the previous NDC government. The 1,000 kilometers fiber optic that was laid from Accra to Boku, the 300 kilometers radius, metro fiber network that was also laid, in Accra and Tema to promote ICT and all of that. Without all of these, you cannot even be imagining a digital economy. And so when that is created by those who know how and those who understand, and that is politically ripped by politically expedient communicators who have been branded as economists, and they get that opportunity, clearly you will find a problem with the way they implement it, because they don't even understand it in the first place. They just find it convenient to be used to win an election. And I just feel so sad that we experimented this disaster. We tried this disaster of a government. I mean, that was a mantra, try me. I feel so sad that as a people, we fail to see through the facade, the deception. And now we have a level of destruction to our economy and almost every sphere of life. So much so that it will require, like the NDC is proposing, all of us, working 24 hours. Working 24 hours to fast-track our recovery. And when I say the destruction is in every sector, Randy, even our social and moral, way of life are under threat. Or you want me to give you an example? This LGBTQ that we are doing back and forth on is a clear example of how even our social and moral, life is under threat under this government. Forget the economy, forget the, environment, forget the I call it the 3 E's, energy sector. Forget all the education. The level of devastation just based on sheer greed and corruption that have been created. Our social and moral aspects as a people are also being threatened. And like I said, yes, it may be heartbreaking that we tried and experimented this, but I am very confident that even for those who expected better from this government, they can't wait to join those of us who never believed that they were up to any good to to rescue this country and put it back on the road of recovery, requiring all of us to work 24 hours, a day to fast-track our recovery.
So that'll be for the morning. Thanks, gentlemen,
all.
for joining me. And I wish you the best of the week.
Thank you.
As well, up next, GMG Trends. Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Time to check out what is trending on social media with Desi. How are you?
Very well, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
So, welcome to the trends. Now, let's begin with, there's a gentleman who used to create content on, or he still does, on socials called Kofi Gabs. He did a post yesterday, and a lot of people haven't been happy about it because they say that he's denigrated academia, share people with PhDs and all that. So let's check out the video, and I'll take Doc's thoughts on it. And then we'll move on and talk about Lil Wayne and also the TGMAs.
Madame Fupa, your friend Romeo. Down Mefi Ghana 23rd March 2018. On no driving me call airport. Sisia or US Chicago. 6 years near me Hunie. Holland ha me timini baby a US embassy wo. But won't because of this passport. And open me cast some person me cost Romeo. Me te toilet soon me fill US ESTA application. Me tua just $21. You can't tell me say take 72 hours and send me approval. In 1 hour 20 minutes, and I'm approval by. To want the power of this passport. PhD will go on cramba.
So this has triggered a lot of reactions on Twitter. So you'd find Legon PhD trending, you find PhD trending, Ghana Dutch passport trending and all that in the trends this morning. Some people are saying that, oh, ABBEY, I say I am a bro, like it's you're overdoing it. You are disrespecting academia, people who have gone to school and they've done all of these things over the years because of what a Dutch passport that you have. So that has been in the trends since yesterday right up to this morning. A lot of comments about it. Doc, some people say it is true. He's speaking the truth.
So that is his opinion, and that is his reality.
Okay.
I mean, whether you agree with him or not, the guy is speaking to his experience.
Okay.
I won't let my kids take anything meaningful from that. I would rubbish it if it is ever raised by them. I won't advise anybody on that. That's me.
Okay.
Because my reality is different.
It's different.
I'll be honest with you. And there are people who also have both worlds. You get me?
Yeah.
But this morning I saw a post on Facebook, a friend on Facebook, Mo Miniru.
Okay.
And I thought that I found his take on this issue interesting.
Okay.
Mo Miniru. It says, it's as if I knew we were going to raise this issue. It says, a PhD versus some little book.
Okay.
And this is what it says. It says, a PhD basically makes you an expert in what could be considered a microcosm of human knowledge. So your area of research.
Okay.
While it may have cross-applicability and enhance your personal competence, it does not by any means guarantee success in life or work. So if you feel getting a Dutch passport will guarantee your success or fulfillment in life, go for it. Good luck.
Okay.
So to everybody, your choice.
Your choice. Well, so that's it. Choices got a lot of people talking on.
If you want me to read it again.
Oh, no.
There's a PhD basically makes you an expert in what could be considered a microcosm of human knowledge. While it may have cross-applicability, enhance your personal competence, it does not by any means guarantee success in life or work. So if you feel getting a Dutch passport will guarantee your success or fulfillment in life, go for it. Good luck.
So choose your choice. Anyway, moving away from...
I will never first of all, I don't even think that there's a basis for comparison. I won't tell somebody, I don't want a situation where I choose between a PhD and a foreign passport. For me, it's crash. And I'm saying that a lot of people even have both.
Yeah,
and I don't even see the basis for that kind of choice. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Anyway, now let's go to Kumasi.
Maybe I'm the wrong person.
So Kumasi yesterday was quite busy because actor Kojo Nkansa Lil Wayne was arrested just when he was discharged from the hospital. And then he was taken to court. And a lot of people were saying, hey, Lil Wayne, you can act too. No wonder you're an actor. So remember that, he appeared at his premiere at Ken University a day, or on the night actually, of his accident. And then it was just a patch on his forehead. But yesterday, when he was discharged from the hospital, taking him to court, that was how he looked. In fact, he was earlier in a wheelchair, and he was taken to court like this. And people say, nah, kept nation it is no, and I know I can't. But anyway, so Lil Wayne yesterday appeared before the Asokore Mampon District Court, where he was granted a bail of 50,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties. And he was charged with dangerous driving and negligently causing harm. Now, his counsel argued that her client has suffered injuries, including internal bleeding, and required further treatment. So some of the comments that this one says, Lil Wayne did not mean to end the life of anyone. It wasn't a premeditated act. It was just an accident he had no control over. This can happen to anyone. Get well soon, Lil Wayne. So that's during the premiere of his movie at the Ken University Great Hall. This one from James says, Ghana Lil Wayne needs to be jailed, not less than 5 years for killing that child. Enough is enough. So, of course, a 3-year-old boy was involved in the accident where he passed on and was buried last week. His father also had issues with his leg. But yeah, yesterday, that was all that was happening in Kumasi with respect to Lil Wayne.
Okay. So what's his profession?
He's an actor.
Okay. And what was the title of the movie he premiered?
A Country Called Ghana.
So he's an actor in a country called Ghana?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Nanyan.
Okay.
Hey, right away. Charlie. Really. Oh, you see this picture? The picture that killed, yes.
But it's on his head. Was he going to the theater?
I don't know. I mean, Mr. say, was he in the theater and
or
they
maybe they forgot when he was getting out of the hospital. They forgot to take it off.
Someone says it will prevent germs. Ghana for you. So anyway, that's the incident with Lil Wayne. Let's wrap up with the TGM. It's Doc. Last Friday we were talking about it. It happened on Saturday.
So you had your party here? Or it didn't come on? I thought you guys were going to do a TGM party or something.
Oh, no. There was a pre-party earlier.
Here?
No, not here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So on that Sunday, there was also, that Saturday, there was the Dortmund Real Madrid game also going on in Tema, with our team there. So I was at the Grand Arena. Everything went on well. And at the end of the day, Stoneboy, Livingston, Eche Satekla, was crowned the artist of the year on the night, and a lot of people thought he was deserving of it. But it was, of course, a lot of it was between himself and Kim Promise. And then Kim Promise won some awards, and of course, Honorable Japan said the
Minister of Tourism.
Yeah, Minister of Tourism are crazy, but so that's Kim Promise there with the look. Yeah.
At least he applauded.
Hey, he applauded.
That's great sportsmanship.
Yeah, he did that, and it was a beautiful night. 25 years of the awards, shaped our music over the years. They have, of course, for this 25 years, there were quite a number of issues, during the show. We'll delve into that on the entertainment review. But yeah, congratulations to all the winners on the night. Beautiful performances. Episode was great on the night. Akwabwa, Abranti Amachidede, and Obaroni.
I love Episode's music.
Yeah, he's really good, and he lights up the place with his outfits for Amachidede. Anyway, so that was also what was in the trends. Of course, the other thing is just Mbappe all through football on Twitter today. It's gone to Real Madrid.
All right. Okay. I'm sure the sports guys will have a lot to say about that one.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Okay. Of course. Oh, today is Abigail Sanasosu's birthday.
Sports.
Yes.
Okay.
Abigail of our sports decks. Today is her birthday. She's looking all white and getting momo. Okay. People are sending her momo. So.
It's also the birthday of a friend of mine, Linda Kutani. I haven't seen her in like 20 years.
Linda Kutani.
Yes. Today's her birthday.
Oh. Nice.
Yes.
Linda Kutani.
Yes.
Now, I mean, for June, dear, June 16th and June 29th, they are my days. So it's going to be
Your
a beautiful.
birthday is June 16th.
Yes.
And you get married on June 29th.
Yes. Beautiful.
Okay.
Look, I was at the arena now. I heard somebody, hey, incoming groom. Oh.
That's you.
Yeah, big shouts to the director of programs at the British Council. I met him 3 times and he just kept saying, hey, coming groom. Okay. Yeah. So they are all invited.
Mr. Kriku Dansu. Incoming Mr. Kriku Dansu.
What do you say? No.
But yes, yeah. Don't worry. Anyway, up next, Metro Sports.